In September 2004, Rebekah Gould was a typical college student at Northwestern Arkansas Community College in Fayetteville. She'd just transferred there from Ozarka College in the tiny town of Melbourne, Arkansas, 3 hours away in the Ozark Mountains. She was spreading her wings away from home and enjoying life in the bigger city, but she still had strong ties to her hometown. For one thing, she and her sister were both dating guys who lived there. For Rebekah, her hometown sweetheart was a guy named Casey McCullough. On the weekend of September 17, 2004, she and her sister decided to make the 3-hour drive back home and visit the guys. On Monday, September 20th, 2004, a witness said they saw Rebekah buy a breakfast sandwich and coffee at a gas station in Melbourne. It's the last reported sighting of her alive. Hi there, I'm Chris, and this is True Crime Recaps. I just want to take a moment to say thank you all so much for taking some time out of your day to check out this video. If you like getting all the crime in half the time, please do us the huge favor of hitting like and subscribe. It only takes about a half a second, but it means the world to us. All right, enough of that, and now on with the recap. Danielle was expecting her sister to pick her up that afternoon for a ride back to Fayetteville, but she never showed up or answered any calls to her phone. By the next day, Tuesday, September 21st, 2004, Rebekah was reported missing. Casey McCullough said Rebekah gave him a ride to work at 8 a.m. on Monday. He worked at the Sonic on Main Street in Melbourne. Apparently, he'd left his truck at work and was sharing a car with his dad. After she dropped him off, she ran into the Possum Trot gas station to pick up a breakfast sandwich and coffee. If the witness who saw her is correct, it was the last time she was seen alive. Casey was at work that Monday and then went out with friends. He said he didn't go back to his place until Tuesday when the police called with questions about his missing friend, according to area-wide news. When they searched his trailer, they made some shocking discoveries. On the nightstand next to his bed was a half-eaten breakfast sandwich. Rebekah's Chevy Cavalier, cell phone, keys, purse, and even her Pomeranian dog, Lady, were all still at Casey's house. Then they discovered something horrific. Something brutal and deadly had clearly happened in Casey's house. The mattress had been flipped over to hide bloodstains. Bloody pillows were stuffed under the bed, and blood-stained sheets were found in the washing machine. Traces of blood were everywhere, on the walls, the floor, the baseboards, even on the back porch. Someone had gone to a lot of trouble to clean up the crime scene. But something stood out. A leg was missing from the piano Casey had in the house, and Rebekah was nowhere to be seen. 6 days later, she was found at the bottom of a 35-foot embankment in a heavily wooded area off a 2-lane highway 6 miles from Casey's trailer. She was wrapped in a blanket, wearing only a t-shirt and underwear. According to various news reports, it didn't look like her killer tried to hide her body at all. Autopsy reports showed that she'd been beaten to death, most likely by that missing piano leg. Investigators immediately looked at Casey, but his alibi checked out. He had receipts proving he was somewhere else, and he passed several polygraphs, according to area-wide news. He'd been at work and out with friends, so with the most likely suspect cleared and no forensic evidence pointing to anyone else, no arrests were made until November of 2020. That's when police arrested a man 2,000 miles away in Eugene, Oregon, 44-year-old William Alma Miller. So, who is this guy? Well, for starters, he's Casey's first cousin. At the time of her death, he was living in Texas with his wife and child, but his mother and 15-year-old brother had just moved to the Melbourne area a month earlier. The week she went missing, William was in town visiting them. According to the probable cause affidavit filed on November 9th, 2020, this is the story William Miller told police. On the morning of September 20th, 2004, he hid his Chevy S10 pickup in a field behind Casey's trailer. When he knocked on the door, Rebekah answered. He told her he needed to use the phone, and she let him in. From here, I'm going to quote the affidavit word by word so there's no confusion or misinformation. Quote, Mr. Miller advised that while he was pretending to use the phone, Miss Gould went back to her bedroom to go to bed. Mr. Miller advised that when Miss Gould went back to her bedroom, he then retrieved a piano leg from the piano that was located in the living room. Mr. Miller advised that he then entered Miss Gould's bedroom where he began to strike her multiple times with the piano leg. Mr. Miller advised that after causing Miss Gould's death, he wrapped her in a blanket and placed her in the bed of his truck. Mr. Miller then dumped the deceased body of Miss Gould along a 2-lane highway a few miles outside of Melbourne, Arkansas. Since Rebekah didn't really know this man, why would she let him into the house to use the phone? And why on earth would she tell a stranger she was going back to bed while he was still in the house? That makes no sense to us, and it made no sense to former U.S. Army counterintelligence agent and private investigator Jennifer Buchholz either. In an interview with KNWA, she pointed out that a witness reported seeing 2 people in a sedan with Texas plates at Casey's house on Saturday, September 18, 2004. The person drove to a shed in the backyard where a man grabbed a weed eater and put it in the trunk of the car before driving away. The witness said Rebekah was seen at the house greeting them. Jennifer's theory is that the 2 people in the car were William Miller and his mother. If Rebekah had met them a couple of days earlier, she may have felt okay about letting him in to use the phone on Monday, like he told the police, especially since he was Casey's cousin. Before he was arrested, he'd been living in the Philippines since 2016. Apparently, he went there on vacation and stayed there. According to KNWA, he married again and had 2 children. He worked in the oil industry, and it wasn't unusual for him to travel overseas. But it seems that Rebekah Gould was never far from his mind. Jennifer Buchholz also moderates a Facebook group on this case along with journalist and author George Jarrett. According to her, William Miller joined the group about a year before his arrest and reached out to her and George a few times, posing as an interested citizen detective. And they weren't the only experts on this case that he reached out to. Catherine Townsend, the writer, private detective, and host of the popular podcast about this case called Hell and Gone, also reportedly got a call from William Miller. According to aymag.com, he said he had heard something at work about the case, but he didn't get into details. Right now, a jury trial is scheduled for late August 2021. And that's your recap, but I'm curious to know what you think about this case and the latest developments. For years, there have been dozens of theories circulating online. So, what do you think? Was this arrest a shock? Do you believe the cops have the right guy? Thanks again for spending some time with me today. If you like getting all the crime in half the time, please remember to subscribe and hit the bell so you always know when a new recap is ready for you to weigh in on twice a week. Meanwhile, don't go anywhere before you watch this next recap. Until next time, take care.